going on, everybody? If you didn't know, now you know. It's your boy Kelvin here, and this time I'm doing this video for my good people at OzTREKK, which is the agency which I applied through to come to school here in Australia. Without further ado, I'm just going to read the questions here off my phone, and then I'm going to give the answers as best as I can, and hopefully this video doesn't go too long. First question: what's your name? Where are you from? What are you studying? My name is Kelvin Philip. I'm from Toronto, Canada, Scarborough if you want to be a little bit more exact, and I'm doing my master's in physiotherapy. Why did you choose UQ over other universities? I didn't choose UQ, UQ chose me. If I want to be completely honest, I didn't really get accepted into many other schools. I had applied to University of Sydney also, which is one of my top choices here in Australia, but for some reason I didn't get accepted, and I really wanted to go there because I had a friend who went there, and me and him took pretty much the same courses, and for some reason they said I didn't meet the prerequisites, and he told me that, you know, sometimes they make paperwork errors and that I should email them and see what happened exactly. But by that time I'd already been accepted into the University of Queensland, so I figured they make paperwork issues like this, and they have a larger class size. Like at UQ we have about 40 students in our class, at the University of Sydney it's 160. I just thought that, you know, the University of Queensland might be a little bit of a better fit for me, and it's also a little bit cheaper than the University of Sydney, and I'm sure I'm going to be saving a lot more on living expenses. Are you enjoying your program? Surprises? What's easy? What's difficult? I'm absolutely loving my program so far. It was very difficult for the first semester, the summer semester when I got here. That's because we went from 0 to 100 real quick. Just so much learning every day. It was almost like we were there 9 to 5. And just so much information, but at the same time I loved it. I felt like I learned more in those 2 months in the summer than I learned in 4 years doing my undergrad. So it's very good. You just gotta stay committed to studying and you'll do just fine. What do you wish you would have known so you're more prepared for study? Personally, I wish I had known a little bit more of my anatomy. Even though beforehand everyone says you need to know anatomy, so before I came I was actually doing a little bit of study of anatomy, but enough really is never enough. And when I got here, there were a bunch of ligaments, muscles that I had never heard of in my life, and you know, I just had to buckle down and study. So that's probably the best thing you can do if you're studying physiotherapy, is just make sure you go over your anatomy beforehand as much as you can, as much as possible, because that really underlies everything we do as a physiotherapist. How would you describe the facilities and the campus? The campus is beautiful. Honestly, when I first got here, my first day, I came on the campus because I had to get my student card, walked around by myself. Really wasn't a good idea. In the middle of summer, it was like 35 degrees that day, I think. So I was sweating buckets because I walked around for at least an hour and a half just exploring. It's a very big campus, very beautiful. There's 2 lakes, a little bit of wildlife on campus. There's a lot of bush turkeys in the lakes. I had seen some turtles. One day I also had seen a turtle outside of the lake walking around. There's pelicans on campus. It's ridiculous. It's a beautiful campus. The facilities, obviously UQ was an older university. It's been around for like 100 years, I believe. But at the same time, there are newer facilities. In one of our practical classes, we have cameras that can move around. So we have TVs on the screen, on the sides, where you can see what's going on the camera, so that everybody doesn't have to huddle around and you're getting blocked by people. So overall, we get a lot of good facilities. What are you enjoying most about your time in Australia? Well, it's just a different living experience. Obviously, the weather here is phenomenal. So far, it hasn't rained a lot, and even though we're in the winter right now, it's still about 20 degrees during the day, I'd say. And obviously there's beaches, the animals are different, and yeah, it's just a good experience overall. What's been your biggest challenge? So if you go back and look at one of my earlier videos, I talked about when I first got here, I moved into a house and I had to move out of that place almost immediately because me and the guy didn't get along. That's my biggest challenge, was the fact that I had booked accommodations before I got in here, and I did not like that place at all. So that will be one of my biggest tips, is not to arrange a long-term accommodation before you can come and actually see the place, because pictures and being there in person are 2 completely different things. Where are you living? Any stories to share? Right now I'm living in the suburb called Annerley, which is on the east side of the river, east side of UQ, a little bit to the south, and it's a very nice location. I love where I live personally. There's a Hungry Jack's down the road, which is the equivalent of Burger King in Canada. There's also a KFC, a Sizzler. There's a Woolworths, like 10 minutes walking distance down the street. There's a Kohl's, which is like a 20-minute walk down the street. I don't go to either of them because I'm lazy and I like to take the bus down the street to another Kohl's. But yeah, I feel like I'm in an ideal location. It's a pretty quiet neighborhood. Rent prices aren't too bad, and I really enjoy where I live. It takes me about 20 minutes to bike into campus, and if I take the bus, it takes me about 25 to 30 minutes depending on traffic. Stories to share. Well, actually, when I was living at my previous house, a possum snuck in my window at night, and I was freaking out for like the longest time because a possum was in my bedroom at like 3 in the morning. So obviously you can kind of imagine my fright. How can future students better prepare for moving to studying in Australia? Stuff you wanted to know before you went to Oz. I honestly cannot think of a single thing for this question, and that's just because OzTREKK did such a good job of giving me all the information in their Moving to Oz guide, and with all their phases information, they gave me such great information at every point in time. So I really had all the information I needed before I got here, in my opinion. Any final thoughts? Close your windows at night, because if you don't, a possum will crawl in your bedroom. Just get ready to have the time of your lives. I mean, Australia, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Never in a million years would I have ever thought that I would have been able to cross the world and go to study in school in Australia. You gotta make the most of the opportunity. I plan to travel a lot, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So, hope this video was helpful and hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, it's your boy Kelvin, and I'm out. Deuces.